while inside another car, another mother and her daughter in their own relentless fight against OCD.
What are you trying to tell your OCD?
To get lost.
14-year-old Michelle LeClaire, who hasn't been able to step inside her own school for 4 months now. Her mother, Diane, had to quit her job as a teacher to work full-time, helping Michelle fight her OCD.
When she was going to school, she would cry for an hour and a half every night, saying how difficult it was to go to school, but I couldn't touch her.
Michelle's OCD also involves contamination, but her fear is different. Her family is fine. It's the kids at school she's afraid of, afraid they're dirty. She can't go to school or anywhere in public where she has seen the other students.
We had to go like hours away just to go get like a pair of pants or get cleaning supplies because everything around here was contaminated. All the stores were because the kids from school had been there.
It is a crippling fear that has left her isolated at home. Her laundry has to be done separately from the rest of the family, and one laundry cycle often isn't enough to convince Michelle her clothes are clean. Even the washer has to be washed. She showers incessantly at home, blistering hot water. At one point, her parents couldn't even get her out of the shower, not even when there was a brand new puppy waiting for her.
We were going to go get him puppy toys and take him to the store, and she was so excited that whole day. And after an hour in the shower, I'm like, we need to leave if you want to go. And she couldn't do it. I pulled her out of the shower, and she just sat on the floor and rocked and cried.
Her OCD taking over her life. And as is so often the case, doctors say, with children who have OCD, Michelle plunges into depression.
I became suicidal because I couldn't touch anything. You can't enjoy anything. So, there wasn't really a point in living anymore.
A far different portrait from the little girl who was once a straight-A student, a dancer who loved dressing up, a child who once proudly displayed her smile.
Your school situation will be...
When we first met up with her, she'd already begun therapy with Dr. Weg. And now she and her mother are taking the next step on their own, actually practicing going to school when the halls are empty. They're headed to their first stop, the locker room.
Just my heart's beating much faster now. And then slowly touch the door frame and then do the door handle.
The doctor has told Michelle to touch what she's afraid of, what's dirty, and then to touch her own skin to prove to herself that there's nothing to be afraid of. The doctor has told her to keep track of her anxiety on a scale of 1 to 10.
Like a 7?
Touch the walls because you're not touching anything. You're only taking little baby steps. Michelle, you're not touching the walls. Touch your hands, your arms, your face.
I'm like contaminating myself so that no part of me is considered like clean.
Right now, if you could do anything in the room, what would you be going to do?
Leave. Take a shower.
With the locker room now barely conquered, the next battleground, gym class. It's been 5 months since she stepped foot inside this gym.
Can you go over and touch the basketball? You want to hit me?
Yeah.
Now you know kids touch that, right? What does it feel like?
Like the germs are like coming into me and like going through my blood.
Her full-time coach, her mother, taking careful note of her progress.
I'm very proud of what you did. You touched the walls, you sat in the bench.
A proud mother and her daughter leaving school after their own gym practice.
2020 continues with the children who break away. Once again, David Muir.
After 4 months at home, paralyzed by fear, afraid other students at school are contaminated, Michelle tries to go back to school, one class at a time. Science class is first.
You've been working groups up 2 to 3.
I felt like I needed to like get back at the OCD and feel like I could do it.
She's crossed the first big hurdle. She's there in class, but right away, within minutes of the first period, we notice Michelle is already anxious about something, asking about the 8th grade prom and an overnight trip to Hershey Park.
You're going to Hershey, right?
It's a trip that is still 2 months away. But she can't imagine an overnight trip away from home. She's just trying to get through a day at school, science, shop class, and lunch in the chaotic cafeteria.
It's a little weird because the kids are like, where have you been?
Even the principal uncertain about just how to handle Michelle on her first day back.
I put up my hand to kind of do a high five, and she didn't blink, and she high-fived me, and I knew we were on the right track.
Michelle has made it back to school, but next comes the real homework, the next battle in her fight against OCD. After school, she goes to Kohl's, the one department store she fears most.
I'm feeling anxious already just thinking about going.
Not because of the store itself, but because of the other students she has seen there.
Am I going to be able to pull into the parking lot?
Yes, you can pull into the parking lot.
Okay. Can you stick your hand out the window? What's happening?
The drones are coming through.
How does that feel?
Icky.
Michelle knows her fear is irrational, but that is OCD.
What's going through your head, Michelle?
That I'm dirty.
I'm going to get out. I'm just going to get out and stand right here.
Mom gets out of the car and then reaches down to touch the pavement. She then holds onto her daughter's hand to show her nothing bad will happen.
See, I touched the ground, you touched me.
And now the hard part, actually walking toward the store to the entrance that Michelle hasn't walked through in over 4 months.
The store's contaminated from the kids at school.
What about the people out there who might say, we're enabling these children and a little tough love would probably be better? Just push them into the department store or...
Think about when you're afraid of anything. If someone tries to push you against your will, harder than you feel ready to, your tendency is to dig your heels in, to say, to just pull back. They want to get better.
Do you want to walk back and forth just on that line?
The idea is that once you face your fear and you face it over and over and over again over a period of time, you become less sensitive to it.
You can't go and run and touch the door and run back? Okay, I won't push. You did good. How do you feel?
I feel good.
There is a hug from her mother, a mini milestone before they head home for the day. Dr. David Rosenberg is convinced Bridget and the other children like her will conquer it. His team at Wayne State and the DMC Children's Hospital of Michigan is on the front lines of this fight against child anxiety and OCD. In a groundbreaking study looking at the MRIs of children who have OCD, they can actually see it.
So these are all MRIs of children with OCD. Exactly right.
They're convinced there's a genetic component here, and that much of this comes down to the amount of a certain chemical in the child's brain.
In a child who has OCD, you see something in the brain.
There's too little glutamate in certain areas of the brain. There's too much glutamate in other areas of the brain.
The doctor says glutamate controls the brain's light switch, and when the balance is off, the switch short circuits. So the part of the brain that gives most of us the all clear when we're worried never gives the child that all clear.
And instead of getting the signal that, okay, I'm safe now, children with OCD get the signal that things are getting much more dangerous and more unsafe.
Many of us check the doors when we leave the house or the stove, sometimes 2 or 3 times. Eventually, though, our brain gives us the message that it's okay to move on. Children with OCD and severe anxiety never get that message.
Instead of getting the all clear, which is what the rest of us get.
Exactly right.
And tonight, there's something else just discovered by the doctor and his team, that the amount of the chemical and where you find it in the brain can tell them which kind of OCD your child might have. Findings he just revealed in New York City.
So a child who washes their hands over and over again is not the same as a child who checks the locks.
We see different things in the brain, and they respond differently to treatment.
He says it's a distinction his team was never able to make until now. He says Michelle and Bridget, who have contamination fears, would have a different brain scan from Rocco, who kept asking his mother, is it going to be okay? Can I leave for the school bus? Over and over again.
So this is Rocco?
That's more likely to be Rocco.
And you would put Bridget and Michelle, the contamination fears and the washing of the hands, into this category.
More likely here.
That's incredible.
While for Michelle, the biggest challenge is that trip away from home, that 8th grade prom, an overnight trip with some of those same students she once feared.
Hi.
How's it going? Getting ready for the prom?
Yep.
So this is the fancy dress. Wow, that's pretty.
She's proud of her dress, proud of being here. And her friends, they're proud of Michelle. She has kept her OCD a secret until now.
She told me that she had like a disease where she was kind of afraid of what might happen to her if she like came into contact with other people.
But as her friends get ready in that room, they have no idea that on the inside, Michelle is still fighting that OCD.
You don't do school activities?
Nope. So this is a big deal. You know, sleeping in a bed that's not mine. Not being with the family, you know. So, I mean, it's different.
A lot of people might think, well, that's just being a little homesick. That everybody gets that.
Yeah, but I think for me, because I've been with family for just 4 months straight, it's harder for me to let go.
And you're feeling it already. Do you feel badly because you've left them?
I guess. But I know it's what my mom and my dad want me to do.
So you're doing this in part for them. We can't mess up your makeup.
As the girls assemble in the hallway getting ready for the ballroom, Michelle shares the anxiety that is now creeping back.
I mean, I'm so worried that the OCD is going to pick on something and then I'm going to have to obsess over it.
She has already quietly tested the bed by sitting on it, just to prove to herself that a bed where strangers have slept won't make her dirty. Just like she tested that gym locker long before, and that walk through the Kohl's parking lot. But this time she was testing herself, without her mom, without her coach.
You did that on your own as your friends were in the room. Mm-hmm. Do you think they even knew that you were trying?
No, probably not.
I think they're knocking for you.
Her friends are waiting. That prom is about to start. And just outside, just out of sight, Mom waits as well, just in case.
I don't want anybody to see me because I don't want her to feel bad. But I need to be close enough that if she does have a panic attack or if she can't do it, that I can be able to be there.
While for Michelle, that time has arrived, that prom she so feared. We snake our way through all of those kids looking for the 14-year-old who once couldn't get out of her own house, the teenager who couldn't step inside her own school. Now, after all of that, on the other side of the dance floor, we found this. Michelle dancing with her friends. And just outside, her mother out of sight, wondering if her daughter is out of the woods.
How's she doing?
She's tearing up the dance floor.
No, really?
She's on the dance floor.
Oh, that's a big thing for her.
Big smile.
Mom's proud.
Are you proud?
Very bad.